Good evening. We're picking up where we left off on Friday. It's always kind of awkward clicking out of the game because it cuts off the game's audio when it's not the active window. Also, congratulations Jigstraw on being first. Yes, we're picking up where we left off on Friday. Where, if memory serves, I got this teleportation thingy, which is nice. I don't remember what I'm currently attempting to accomplish. But I'm sure I'll work it out. Oh, right. It's literally, like, the thing that I'm referencing in the title of the stream today. Yeah, we are looking for, I believe, a vampire. And I think she's in this area. Yes. Yep, there's the throwing axe. I feel like I've been through here on Friday, and then I died. But that's okay. Then. Oh, congratulations on the 5-stream streak. At some point, I ought to come back down here and farm some fairy wings. Because I need them for upgrading my double jump. And if memory serves, there was one other thing that I needed them for. But I don't remember exactly what. Oh well, I'll figure it out. I'll double check all the upgrades and such the next time I'm in, Packet Base. For snacks, thank you. Doing things for snacks does sound like a thing that would motivate me. Oh, you don't actually know? Oh. SMH, I trusted you. Million thingy familiar, that's interesting. I have a conjuration shard to like summon them, but a familiar would just be like a friend. Okay, that is not a boss fight, that's a different zone. If memory serves, I came through here last time and did not find a save. Okay, it is coming back to me. Hi, head points. If memory serves, I like pushed further into the castle. Did not find a save room and died and lost my progress, but that's okay. Reduces MP consumption. That sounds really nice. Occasionally 0 MP cost. Alright. Now I wonder, if I like spam the button with not enough mana to actually use the skill in the first place, does it sometimes go off? Or does it only check if I could afford it? By the way, that sounds like fun. I want that. I like getting things and not paying for them. This pinwing. I'm spamming the button, and I'm getting the impression that I have to actually be able to spam, I'm getting the impression that I actually have to be able to afford the thing in order to have a chance to get it for free. Which is reasonable. I can't complain about that. Wait, why is my eye... Why is my eye doing the sands thing? Is that because my next skill is gonna be free? What's going on there? Recipe for fine equipment. I should consider backing off. My health is kind of low on account of the poison. I want that. I want that skill. That is exactly the kind of, like... That is exactly the kind of, like, back-off laser beam that I want. Okay, can't quite get up there. Lots of sponge cake and wool in this area, I'm noticing. Oh dear. Also, I just had a thought. For, like, channeled abilities, is the zero cost going to be for, like... Oh dear. I'm in danger. I should go. If it does proc, is it going to be, like, per tick, or is it going to be, like, when I start using it, entitling me to use it for as long as I want, as long as the channel holds? Because the latter would be kind of awesome. Regrettably, that didn't work. This is fine, except for the part where it's not. I was doing fairly well, too. This is fine, though. I'm just de-rusting. From like 3 days ago. I am playing on hard mode, so... Oh, but I lost my MP thing. Unfortunate. I can always get it back. I will simply just get the drop, again. Oh, rude. Well, I didn't mean that drop, but I'll take it. I did mean that one. Alright. Just get the drop, what can I say? If there's like a drop you want in a video game, just get it. Ribbon and a Vespin wing. I like how the entire wall kind of changed its look there when the bottom of it crumbled. I wasn't paying close enough attention to tell you exactly what changed, but it did. The Sans Eye is definitely throwing me a little bit. Oh, rude. I don't think I can get up there even with this. No, I cannot. Okay, my health is full, my MP is above half. Megalovania is playing in the distance, somewhere. I like how it's been 10 years, but you can still... Nicely done, Sword. I like how it's been 10 years, but you can still pretty, like, confidently assume that someone somewhere is playing Megalovania. I also found equipment books, or recipe books for both fine equipment and Damascus equipment. Oh, hello. Oh, I think I remember this one. This room. Age glasses, what does that do? Oh. I did not realize that that was here. Okay. I thought that was like an endgame thing. I suppose I'll hold on to those for the next time I'm fighting a boss, and I'm not sure like how far in I am. Augment Mind. Okay, that looks like a boss door. I'm getting safe room vibes from here. A terrible thing has happened. One of the children got a hold of the red shard, bringing the demon I summoned all those years ago back into our world. We somehow cut the shard loose from the boy and averted chaos, but this proves I was right. The crystal binds with the shard's power. I shall call the children... Shard Binders. The shard binding incident made apparent our need to teach the children self-discipline. The guild has introduced just such a regimen to verse them in combat by pitting them against the demons we summon. One boy, Jibo, has shown tremendous ability, but his crystal growth lags behind the others. Why? Hey, safe room. Now, is there a warp portrait nearby as well? Because that would also be nice. Oh hey, a warp portrait nearby. That's nice. I will double check my metaphorical to-do list.
Have you learned anything
Which would
new?
be a literal to-do list if I was taking notes, which I probably should be, but I'm not.
Here's what I've turned up. Good.
Hi, Miri. So, what'll it be?
What can you give me? Words of Wisdom wants a Sinister Heart. I might just use that because I'm using that. Bloodbringer requires another sword fragment. Double jump does require a fairy ring. I can make curry sauce. Me as well, I suppose.
I'll go with this. Great.
And with that, I can make a thing. May as well be pork curry.
I'll go with this.
The cool thing about, making, like, ingredients as well is I don't have to get the stuff for every intermediate thing every time. Once I've crafted them once, I can just buy them infinitely from the shop. Ooh, the chat. I want that. I need a tome scrap. I wonder if those come from Dantalin. Did you see Curry? Yes, you did. One mantled and searing fire. Oh, thorns. That could be nice. I don't think there's anything particularly good there. Any good swords for me? A cursed stone sword that sometimes turns enemies to stone. That could be nice. Because it doesn't do as much damage up front. But basically every hit is a chance to instantly kill.
I'll go with this.
Which I'm on board with.
There, all done. If you ever encounter a demon named Bale, run.
I haven't, but I'm curious why I should.
Because he's the most powerful of the 72 demons. A quick escape may be the only thing that saves you.
Alright, new sword. Not as much raw damage, but chance for instant kill. So I think that's probably better for like fodder clearing, and then I can go back to the other one for like boss killing.
I finished the... Hand up.
Can you...
There's no warp point conveniently down here, but I think I will end up back there when I can swim. So what I'll probably end up doing is, rather than going out of my way to get fairy wings, I'll just, I'll probably just pick them up next time I'm in the area. Because as much as I like the notion of the eye things, I don't really need them right now. And she's dead. Thank you for the hit pats, I appreciate them. That sure is a face. Nice fancy golden throne. With the Megalodania eye. Heir apparent. I'm not sure if it's because Titania is resistant or because the proc rate is just not particularly high. At least while the sword is unupgraded. But I'm not seeing very many attempts to turn the enemies into stone. That's fine though. I will find out over time if it's worth using. This is gonna be a boss fight, so speaking of...
What took you so long? Well, now that you've tasted the power of so many shards, I presume you're ready to join me.
I was not ready to come in here. Oops.
You presume wrongly.
Glasses.
I'm here to keep my promise to you, and nothing else.
What promise?
You really have forgotten then? I swore to you that I would stop you if your Shardbinder power ever manifested itself against your will. You made the same oath to me.
Please! You think I wield this power unwillingly?
Oh, looking at him, like, just about all of his skin is covered in the crystal. As opposed to Miriam that just has it in, like, little contained patches.
I do. I've known it since our meeting on the galleon. But there was a moment when I saw a flicker of the real Jeeble beneath all that hate.
Fool! I've had enough! If you want to stop me, you'll have to do it by force. Next time, obey.
And then he electrocuted my face off. That is not actually the boss I wanted to fight. But now I know he's there, so... I won't go there again. Not right now. I will be going there, just not right now. Incidentally, I'm not gonna make like a poll or anything, but just kind of like throwing it out there in a general sense. If I was to do something like grind, like the materials, let's say, is like the general consensus that I should do that off stream or on stream. Like for example, if I was just gonna go like back and forth, like grinding shards to make my familiar stronger. It's like I can see arguments both for and against doing that, like, on stream. You have no strong preference? Noted. Because generally I try to avoid doing things like that on stream. Telling myself that it's because, oh, I don't want to bore people. But if it's all the same, then I might. A millionaire's key is required for that one. Thank you. I guess I was just overthinking things. I think he's dead. I will say the instant death is really nice when it procs. Like that, yeah. Okay, so up there is basically the end game. Ow. I got them both at once. That was nice. Right, the background is just like halfway disintegrated, but he's like, don't worry, it's cool, I'll wait. You finish oral farming. I should probably go save my game. On account of missing most of my health. I think I mentioned this last time as well, but like... I do think it's really cool how after like the initial, after the initial like early game hardships, I kind of haven't really needed to worry about like staying stocked up on healing items or anything along those lines. Like, as long as I'm careful, I've got all the help that I need, for the most part. You having fun up there? Friend? Okay. Ooh, of course. Our Gamagan. Gamachin. It's a G, not a J, so it'd probably be like Gin. It doesn't seem like there's anything else I can do here. I think I was told that like what I was looking for was in the area with the bell. I can't get in there through here. Like, maybe I can get up from here. There's also a fair amount of stuff over here still to check, so... True, I could, like, grind in the Discord server. That is an option. I always keep forgetting that that's the thing that I can do. I like psych myself out. I'm just like, oh, I don't want to go in there. What if people don't want to hang out with me? It would be presumptuous of me to, like, go into a voice chat. Brainworms need not be, Brainworms need not be rational. Where's this thunder? Yeah, my voice chat, the one in my Discord server. I am the kind of person who'll be like, oh, I don't want to harsh the vibes in my own server. Man struck a pose before he got petrified. He knew what he wanted. This looks new. Drink R. I press a button, that comes down. I need to find something to weigh this down. Do I still have summon chair? I don't. Can I use like this? It would be so very funny if, unironically, the solution was summon chair. Oh, silly me. There's this thing. And now the challenge of the room becomes apparent. Okay, first things first, what's down here? Hey, chair. Part of me really wants to farm a copy of Summon Chair. Just so I can see if I actually can use it to bypass the puzzle. Spear expertise. I should check for stuff in the walls as well. Stuff in the walls as well. Madame Tish. She's just minding her own business, walking up. And I was like, no, that's not okay. Truly, I am the villain. Interesting. I cannot take another hit from him, so I gotta be careful about that. And I can't do anything up there without lowering the thing. Stairs, that's the word I'm looking for. So that is presumably... Yeah, I see the thing. I gotta drop the thing on it. I gotta drop the bookshelf on the switch. Isn't it amazing how much more comprehensible your sentences are when you actually use the right words instead of just saying thing? I should do that more often. First safe area is probably this warp portrait thing. Realistically, I should probably, like, heal myself. However... I don't think anybody has ever accused me of having an abundance of wisdom, and that's okay. Or at least I'd like to think so. I'm just gonna stay nice and safe on this thing. Until we get over here. Pardon me, gentlemen. Pardon me, gentlemen. Not gonna lie, truly did not think I was getting out of that one alive. Granted, I'm technically not in the clear yet. That bone singing thing just outside might kill me. Okay, it didn't. Cool. Right, I'm at exactly 50% map completion. That's cool. Alright, so I think where I want to go next is probably either here or like here. Maybe here. This room I know is just like a bridge room thing. Don't think there's anything in there. But basically like this region, where I just came from. I don't know for certain if that's where I want to go, but I know that I can be there. Getting lost on a literal map. Truly, I have many talents. Speaking of getting lost, I just lost all my health. My talents are strange and varied. But this does kind of reaffirm my earlier point about, like, not needing as much healing these days. Though arguably my actions affirm that I still need healing. I'll have to think about this one. I also did briefly forget that, I did see that one puzzle thing, and I know how to actually handle it. I just haven't yet. So if we can find my way back there, I can do the challenge puzzle thing that I just kind of walked past. Which I want to say was this room, maybe? I don't quite recall. I do wish my memory was better. What's in here? Oh right, this was the way to the health up. The one that I ended up not going for because it took a while to get to and back from, and I kept dying. I suppose I technically ought to grab that now, since I'm not going straight into a boss fight. It simply wouldn't do to forget, especially when health is, despite my claims to the contrary, still something I need very much of. That is literally just like some random knight, and I am letting him body me. I don't know why I'm letting him have all these free hits, but I clearly am. And then I got my head grinded. It was very tragic. Legit, I think what I'll do is I'll get in there, get the thing, and then I'll just waste out. I don't want to risk losing it. Again. I will also try not to lose, like, all of my health on that one Silver Knight guy. Like, I'm kind of picking fights with him for no good reason. Eat heat. Legit, just get me out of here, please. Thank you. I suppose I could also, like, buy a couple more curry things and use them for the completion while I'm here. I think.
Hi, Miriam. So, what'll it be?
Oh, healing just needs a potion to upgrade. Alright, hold on. I literally don't have the stuff for potions. Oh dear.
You know, shard research has advanced during the 10 years you slept.
How so?
By using alchemy to add new matter to the shards, we can change their properties. They evolve. For example, an offensive shard's range may widen or reach targets further away.
Ah, so they'll become easier to use.
To put it more simply, yes. But I should make special mention of enchantment shards. They require a large number of materials to transmute, but they function similarly to skill shards. In other words, they work even when you don't have them equipped.
That is quite an advancement.
Yeah, I do believe that I do believe that he meant passive. So yeah, if you max these things out, you just have the bonus 100% of the time. Which is really, really nice. Especially in the end game when you kind of want a bunch of things at once.
What are you looking to buy? Is this when we have a deal? Is this many thanks?
Alright, let's see. I should be able to just buy a couple curry sauces.
Is this many thanks? Thank you.
What's her face still wants a pizza? Which, to be fair, I don't blame her for. I kind of also want a pizza.
It's good to... So, what'll it be?
I'll go with this.
Looks like if I found some cannon scrap, I could actually use craftwork in combat. That'd be kind of cool. Oh, do I just feed healing more potions until it maxes out? That's kind of cool. Where's the wisdom? Let's upgrade that. It does seem kind of cool how they mostly just seem multiple... Yeah, it mostly seems cool how they mostly just seem to need, like, multiple copies of the same thing. It's like once you find what you want to grind, you just get a bunch of them, maybe? I can make curry and rice, so I will.
Great.
Excellent.
Promise you'll stop Jeeble no matter what.
I ain't promising anything. You don't tell me what to do. Or rather you do, but I don't have to listen.
Have you... Here's what I've turned up on the...
Okay, what am I even trying to accomplish here? Yeah, I think the thing that I was looking for was, like, above this. I think that's where it was. I remember what I'm looking for, but I've genuinely forgotten where it is. And, like, I was not in there a long time ago. Oh well, it is what it is.
Mistakes were made. Also, you get onion on your pizzas? I am low-key judging you. I'm personally not much of a fan of onion on anything, really. Like, obviously, you can like anything you want. Cooked or raw, do you bite into them like apples? Like how unhinged are we talking? Well, the good news is I found what I was looking for. The bad news is I got slapped. But I can simply find my way back there, so it's fine. Now I know where I'm going. And to think of it, I wonder if it'd be easier to approach from above than below. Because like, I do have this one as an alternative, and I want to go here. Honestly, it'd probably be easier, come to think of it. Again. You have them into halves, then into quarters, then peel them apart, leaving it with chips that you eat dip with. That sounds like something that I would not personally partake in. But honestly, that just means more for you, so like, more power to you. Horse mane. That looks like a... I was gonna say it looked kind of like a hair ribbon, but then I took a closer look and it was like a lock of hair tied up. Checkpoint here. And we'll actually take a 5-minute break. Please use this time to refill your beverage, go to the bathroom, anything that would take you about 5 minutes. I will see you shortly. The awkward cutting out of the music as I click out to do this. I return. Much to the presumable dismay of that thing right before it died. I'm in danger. I was like, I'll drop down and find out what's down there, and to be fair, I did. I did in fact do that. Oh wait, I want to be here. I had no reason to come over here. Luckily, in the upcoming timeline, I did not do that, so this is fine. Okay. Okay, I can sense that this is going to be an ongoing ordeal. I like how my petrified body is like still behind me, but kind of like distorted. Draconic Rage. There we go. Much easier than trying to get across. Right, and up here we have... Ooh. Not what I thought I was gonna find. What this? An upgrade for Silver Knight. Cool. Okay, I don't recall what was in here, but I think it needed a key. To get over here, I have to be up top first, which kind of like adds more credence to the notion that I have to find a way up from over here somehow. Or I could like drop down here maybe? I don't recall what's down there. And I'm dead. I wanted to get away, but I wasn't fast enough. Regrettable. Yeah, this requires Key of Celeste. I can potentially check this out, I can potentially check this out. May as well do those. I don't feel a particular urgency to get the Silver Knight Familiar Shard back. I probably will at some point, just not right now. That's a thing. That's a thing to open at. Right, I recall this. Can I push this out? No, I cannot. What's in here? I'll worry about that later. Okay, I cannot use the teleport beam thingy at the same time as the hand. Wait, what? Since when was this an option? Hello? It's really cool. Where'd the thing go? Oh, there it is. Yeah, that is really cool. Alright. Oh, is this just gonna be another Silver Chariot? Or Silver Knight? It probably is. Yeah, Silver Knight. Still, that is pretty cool. What's in here? Under Circlet. Okay, so that's nothing. Up there is nothing. Can't get in there without a key. I could fight Chivo, but I don't think it accomplishes anything at this point. Or I could poke around over here some more, looking for something that I missed, because I think I might have missed something in there. Right now that's feeling like the, it might not be, but it's feeling like the most correct thing to try, so I will. I tried to say try and do, so I said true. That was silly of me. It's always a bit embarrassing when you try to say, like, 2 words at once, and then it's like 1 word.
Fascinating. People do their hair like this?
I like how Todd levels up. Ooh, Twin Tails. Bob cut. Bit of a braid.
A shame. My scissors are extra sharp today.
Sorry, Bob, I like my long hair. What can I say? Oh, bye, kitty. Oh, you know what? This is definitely where I gotta be. Ooh, Maquado. A lethal cudgel embedded with obsidian blades. We take those. I totally forgot about this room if I'm being entirely honest. Sharp razor. Is that a dagger? No, it is not. Okay, here we are. I just mentally written this entire area off as like, can't go there yet. I'm seeing now the folly of that. Well, the important thing is that we got there eventually. Granted, I did get the hint from coming in here and being able to like see the bell. It's like I did kind of have help, I guess. I think I'll go back to the sword with a chance of instant death. I don't feel like it's not the way forward. Ow, my bones. Or a darn. Actually, you know what? It'd probably be really useful to just, like, have a gun. For, like, chasing things when my health is really low. Never mind. It's okay though, I know where I'm going. The most important resource is knowledge, and that persists across saves. Bye, kitty. Bye, kitty. Ooh, cat ears. That is very cute. Unfortunately, they're not fox ears, so... Okay, so I think I want to keep going up before I go right. Oh, there's the bell. Oh, there's a thing in there. Awesome. Now, a thing that I'm noticing in the background is that a lot of these supports seem broken. I think I might have to drop the bell. Be misremembering this, or I might need to like hit it with something. Like something big. it might be a different bell that he got a drop that I'm thinking of, or I might be remembering something else entirely. Optimizer increases weapon attack speed. Let me take this. I'm gonna stick my nose in here just to make sure it's not a save point. That guy doesn't seem to have much resistance to petrification. Ooh, light elemental. I want that out. The Chuny in me wants a light attack to go with my dark attack. To be fair, the ability to resist light is also pretty dang Chuny, so I can't complain. No, there can be no redemption for me. And so I shall do not what is right, but what must be done. And then I could kill the villain that the hero's trying to spare. Is this a save? No, it is not. Scrambled eggs, we take those. 2,000 gold. I'm in danger. Never mind, not anymore. Well, that was just rude is what that was. That's one of the ones that you can ride, good to know. Oh? What? Okay. I was about to say I dropped like a stone, but then I considered what I was about to say, and it's like, yeah. Yeah, it makes sense that that's what happened. I was a stone at the time. Rude. I feel like there's gotta be a save room nearby. Usually they're behind these bookshelves. Yeah. Lunging Serpent. Funnily enough, I actually just kind of spammed my way into finding that one. So that's kind of cool. You can use techniques even if you haven't found the book for them, as long as you just do the input for them. Let me see what if there's like any special things for this one that I haven't used yet. Okay, I think this is where I want to be. I saved my game, right? Pretty sure I did. This boss is very Luigi's Mansion energy.
I need
Yeah,
more
she's moving.
blood. Bloodstained.
And then she rotated. Let's just real quick, like, in a pinch, I do have that curry that I made earlier. Oh, rude. Speaking of. A dish made by whisking eggs before cooking them, or a failed omelet. As an age, it's calling me out by name.
Delicious. Scrumptious. Scrumptious.
Rude. I'm wondering how. Oh, hey, one hit point, nice. I'm kind of wondering how to not get bodied by that. It's like. I'm not seeing a way through it without iframes. And it didn't look like the umbrellas blocked it. Maybe just have to see it coming and get behind her. It is fairly highly choreographed, so... or telegraphed, rather. Unfortunate.
Everywhere.
But I know where she is, so I can just go beat her up. This is fine. And I do appreciate having the knowledge of how far into the fight I am. Oh, bloodless. Yep, it's the gauge classes. You can find them if you explore. And they change your damage value from the amount of damage that you're doing to the amount of health that they have left. What? How do I do that one? Hold on. Okay, hold on. That's cool. I don't know if it's necessarily worth using, but it's cool.
Delicious. Delicious. Scrumptious. Scrumptious.
Okay, so it looks like that slash is doing 60 damage to her when the normal hits are doing 30. So it's probably better DPS to just spam. But still, it's good to have that in my back pocket. It's at 1000. And then she absorbs it all. Okay, so I either need to rush her down faster than that, or... find some way to interrupt that. Or just live with the extra... I just had a silly idea. Can I use Cerulean Splash to like clean up the bloodstains? I feel like there's a shard that cleans up the bloodstains. My brain is telling me that that's a thing. And that either it's like the intended way to beat her, or it's like a cheeky secret way to just trivialize her. My brain might be making things up in an attempt to cope. I'm not sure, I'll poke around at least a little bit more. I don't think I can do much more. There is a shard up there, but I'm pretty sure that'll be Silver Knight. Yep, I think maybe the solution is just kill her before she can do that. I should probably also get a new scarf at some point, just on principle. So I'm not sure if I'm the world's biggest fan of the contact damage when she doesn't look like something that would hurt on contact. I'm kind of just complaining because I'm losing, but also I kind of also just feel that way. Also, I noticed that her parasols are her, like, pulling out layers from her dress. And, like, her dress just seems to be, like, blood. Which... it gives me more of an impression that this is meant to be, like, a DPS race. Not finding anything about cleaning up the blood? Unfortunate. I guess my mind just, like, wanted it and started conjuring visions of it. But alright, cleaning up the blood not an option, regrettably. It would have been really funny if you could have actually done that. This does seem to be just outright a new phase, so I do presume I just have to hit her until she dies.
Blood everywhere.
Oh well, I can work with hit her until she dies. I did see that thorn armor in the shop. I wonder if I got that. Would it make it so that I stop taking contact damage? Because they're taking it instead? Actually, come think of it, I wonder if I could use the teleportation thing to get through the blood cyclone thing. Like if I found myself on the wrong side of it. If I'm fast enough on the draw, I might try that. Next time I find myself in that scenario. You know, those snap bonuses are really nothing to scoff at. I really should just go out of my way to make a bunch of food. Oh, that can come later. You miss Weirdly Bell? I don't think it's weird. I think it's a brilliant mechanic. I just suck at engaging with it. I'm curious how low she is. Okay, so just sub 1,000. Very comfortably brought her back up to 100%, so... I guess I just hope that she can't do that too many times in a row. The trigger is not the backstab button. Well, in any case, even if I don't find success right now, I know where she is.
Everywhere.
And that's kind of like the hardest part, is just finding things. I'm definitely gonna update my equipment so I don't have to do that every single time. My heart is telling me to just, like, clean up the blood so she can't reabsorb it. But if that's not a thing, then I guess that's not a thing. Which is regrettable. It would be very funny if it was. Okay, so in not that many more hits, maybe like 3, she should do this with the absorption.
Scarlet Rust. Bloodstained.
Okay, I do think that it's a, it's just a case of like her health is higher than it looks. It's just represented by healing.
Scarlet Rust.
I think it's probably just that. At least that's my current hypothesis.
Scarlet Rust.
If need be, I can also go get more healing items. Though I'd rather not have to.
Blood ring.
She is, without question, advancing through phases, so I do appear to be making progress. Oh.
Scarlet Rust. Scarlet Rust.
Hold up, I might be cooking. I might be cooking, hold on.
Scarlet Rust. Die. Scarlet Cyclone. Scarlet Rust.
That feels cheesy, but it also feels like it's going to work.
Where?
Hold on, hold on. Hold on, I might be onto something. Madam, please get out of the bath. I want to kill you. Okay, rare lose. That was kind of awesome.
Scarlet Rust. Scarlet Rust. Scarlet Rust.
Okay, he can't protect from that angle.
Scarlet Rust.
Or rather, maybe he has to come out first. I just have to use him a bit preemptively.
Delicious. Scrumptious. Scarlet Rust. Scarlet Rust. Scarlet Rust.
I need to summon him as soon as I see her start to gesture. It does work.
Scarlet Rust.
Except when it doesn't.
Scarlet Cyclone. Oh, at last. Sustenance.
This is very funny. If I rank up the Wolfman, it increases his range, which might protect me from those, like, those edge clip things. I feel like this isn't the intended way to do this, but I do also think that it's very funny. Either way, it doesn't appear to be a free win or anything, so...
Scarlet Psycho. Scarlet Cross. Scarlet Psycho. Scarlet Thrust. Scarlet Psycho. Scarlet Thrust. Scarlet Thrust.
The Sombrellos are a little annoying, because as far as I can tell, I can't kill them.
Scrumptious. Scarlet Thrust.
But I'll make do.
Scarlet Psycho. Scarlet Thrust. Scarlet Psycho. Scarlet Thrust. Scarlet Thrust.
Now she's going to absorb all the blood.
Scarlet Thrust.
At some point, she's going to absorb all the blood.
Bloodstained. Scarlet Psycho. Scarlet Thrust. Die. Scarlet Psycho. Die. Scarlet Thrust. Scarlet Thrust. Scarlet Psycho. Blood Rain. Scarlet Thrust. Die.
This is fine.
Scarlet Thrust. Scarlet Thrust.
Except for the part where she's like hitting me and I can't do anything about it. I'd like it to be the other way around, please. Thank you.
Scarlet Thrust. Scarlet Psycho. Die.
Funnily enough, it feels like her like ultimate move where she like does that big tornado is actually like the most accessible like window to do a bunch of damage safely, as long as I'm like in position to not get hit. So there's a world where I play like really safely until she does that, and then I just like hit her a bunch over and over until she dies.
Scarlet Thrust. Scarlet Psycho. Scarlet Thrust. Scarlet Thrust.
And do her first 1200 health. The fact that she can like daintily hop into me for 100 damage is still bothering me just a little bit. I'm not gonna say it's unfair or anything, just it's bothering me. It doesn't feel good.
Scarlet Rust.
It is what it is though. Okay, we're coming up on when she absorbs the blood.
Scarlet Cyclone. Scarlet
I
Rust.
should have just blocked that one, honestly.
Scarlet Rust.
No, I can't do a dot build. At least not with what I've got on me.
Scrumptious. Rust. Bloodstained. Scarlet Cyclone. Scarlet Rust. Die.
I do think I simply have to get good and skillfully respond to... I can stagger her. Interesting. Skillfully respond to everything that she tries to do.
Scarlet Rust. Scarlet Rust.
It's like this game is sometimes janky, but it's never really unfair.
Die. Scarlet Rust. Scarlet Cyclone. Blood Rain. Scarlet Rust. Scarlet Rust. Die. Scarlet Rust.
Walk forward.
Scarlet Rust.
We take those.
Die. Scarlet Rust.
I also see that the, I can use the backstep to cancel the long cooldown of swinging this. Because a lot of the time, what was getting me was like, I would have been like swinging at her, and then while I couldn't move,
Everywhere.
she would like backstep into me and cause damage. But if I backstep, it cancels that. So I should absolutely start leveraging that. I also could totally be doing a better job of like taking shots at her. Especially since I don't really have to aim with Chain Lightning.
Scarlet Rust. Scarlet Cyclone. Scarlet Cyclone.
Yeah, this is fine actually.
Scarlet Rust. Scarlet Rust.
I just need to pay attention to the right things and respond with the appropriate ways.
Scarlet Rust. Scarlet Cyclone.
This is very fine actually.
Scarlet Rust. Scarlet Cyclone.
These are gonna spin at me.
Scarlet Cyclone.
Now she's gonna heal. Those are gonna attack me probably. Oh, never mind.
Bloodstained.
Now it's gonna heal her.
Delicious. Scrumptious.
Okay. Those are gonna attack, that's fine. We're going trying to attack her while she is healing.
Scarlet Thrust. Scarlet Thrust. Die. Scarlet Cyclone.
That is a lot of blood all in one point.
Scarlet Thrust. Scarlet Cyclone. Blood Rain. Scarlet Thrust.
Sub 2000, sub 2000, we take those.
Scrumptious. Die. Scarlet Thrust.
Yeah, at least once the parasol's sweet, they don't, like, stick around. So I dodged them once, and then they are no longer a thing I have to keep track of. Also, as I said earlier, I could very much be doing a better job of remembering that I have that.
Die. Scarlet Cyclone.
This attempt feels very clean.
Scarlet Thrust.
And she's dead. And more importantly, her power is fine. Absorb blood from nearby enemies to restore your health. I will happily do that. It's a bit expensive, but it's nice. I like that. Red umbrella, isn't that a weapon? Or is that like... Oh, it is. Blood rain is stained a deep red. And this is the other side of that other thing that I could only open from above. It's all coming together. I was like, wow, why are my damage numbers so high? They aren't. They aren't damage numbers, that's why. The Traverser's ring is getting kind of impressive. No instant death, but it swings really fast, and it does pretty respectable damage. It would be more than a little bit upsetting if I managed to die here somehow. Luckily, I simply will not do that. I elect not to. Well, I got more than a little bit lost along the way, but
I finished the... And
all in all, I think I had a fairly good time overall.
Can you...
Fairly productive.
Got it?
Here's what I've turned up on them. Help kill them! Here's what I've turned up on the monsters.
Avenge the death of Carl.
Helps kill them!
Got it?
Here's what I've... Help kill them!
Yeah, before I do anything else, let's save the game. Excellent. And now I'm kind of a vampire, and my health is 4 digits. Even better.
It's good to... So, what'll it be?
I should really go through this and just, like, make, like, a breakdown of all the things I need to prepare to, like, make all these things.
promise you'll stop...
Though there's probably a guide for that somewhere. Oh well, at least it's not like that many things that it's asking for, it's just like a lot of crafting. My brain doesn't have a huge amount of RAM. Either way, I think we're gonna call it there for the night. Thank you so much for joining me, I really appreciate it each and every time. Next scheduled stream is going to be on Wednesday. I do believe I finished the last game that I was playing, so I haven't decided what I'm going to play next. Thank you for the headsets, I really appreciate them. Next time that I'm playing Bloodstained in particular is going to be on Friday. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful night. I hope to see you again. Good night.